So, hello, this is Mr. Norman here, and I can't do that. I can't do that. It bothers me too much to have hair on my forehead. So anyway, so what I'm going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be covering multiplication. I'm going to be doing probably three different levels. Basic multi-step multiplication with one level, which is multiple digits times one number, and then multiple digits times multiple digits, and then multiply decimals. So three different things. Let's get started. See how this goes. This is my first recording of the year. I hope it goes well. I'm recording right now. I'm assuming that everything that you can see on the screen is being recorded. And if that's not the case, then I'm going to find out as soon as I'm done with this, and I'm going to be really, really disappointed. But anyway, so without further ado, let's do one level. Actually, before I even do one level multiplication, let me say this first. Everything that I'm going to be doing is based upon you already being comfortable doing single digit multiplication like this. Okay? If you're not good with this, one number times one number, you've got to be good at that. You need to know this like the back of your hand. The longer it takes you to do this, the harder this is going to be. Now, you don't have to memorize this. If you want to do 5 times 5 and go 5 and do 5 rows of 5, that's fine. It's just going to take you a while to count. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay? You can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 rows of 3. And then count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 4 times 3 is 12. But once you get good at memorizing 7 times 6, 42, 6 times 3, or 3 times 6, 18. The faster you can do this, the easier it's going to be when I'm doing what I'm about to show you. So please be good at memorizing those facts. It's just going to take practice, okay? Memorize the facts, you'll be good. Now, let's do one level multiplication first. So what I mean by that is when you start out with something like this, your answer is only going to be one level like that. You don't have to do two levels, just one. So how do you do this? So where you would start, always start with the bottom number on the right. This is the 3. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go 3 times 6 first, and then I'm going to go 3 times 3 second. So let's do 3 times 6 first. What is 3 times 3? Well, I'm sorry, what's 3 times 6? That's going to be 18. Now, you're going to be tempted to put 18 right here, and then 3 times 3 is 9. And if you do that, you're going to mess up, because that's not how it goes. Hopefully, you remember that you go 3 times 6, and yeah, it is 18. But remember, the 1 is going to go directly above the next number that you multiply. So now I do 3 times 3, and you should hopefully know 3 times 3 is 9. Add 1, and that's going to give you 10, and guess what? You're done. 36 times 3 is 108. That is one level multiplication. Now I'm going to keep the numbers the same, and I'm just going to extend it by one number, okay? So now, what about 36 times, let's do 36 times 23. How's that? So, here's the good news. This 108, when you're doing this, some students that like to do, and they actually told me this about today, they make a little turtle head. I guess it looks like a turtle. Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo. Anyway, they do a turtle head, and that reminds them of where they start. Starting with this 3 right here, they're going to go 3 times 6 like we just did. You're basically ignoring the 2. Don't even worry about the 2. Ignore that. Okay, I'm going to put it back just so you know what we're doing. But have nothing. Don't even worry about that. Right now, we're going to do 3 times 6, which is 18. Remember, 8 goes here, 1 goes here, and then 3 times 3 is 9. And And then don't forget to add that 1 right there. 9 plus 1 is 10. I'm going to write it right there. So now we're done with the first level. Now we're going to do the second level. So first level is good. Now we're going to go down to the second level. And we're going to start with the 2. And let's go ahead and get rid of this. We don't need it anymore. I'll be right back. So I'm going to take that 1 and I'm going to get rid of it. Now I'm going to go 2 times 6. Now we're going to basically do this. 36 times 2 is what we're going to do. So we ignore the 3. We're going to go 2 times 6, which is 12. I'm going to put a 1 here again. And then I go 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 1 is 7. Now, I should have said something before and I didn't. I just did it automatically because I'm used to it. You skip. You're going to want to put a 0 here before you start. So let's start all over. After you do the first level, let me highlight what I'm talking about. After we do this and you go to your second level, you're probably going to want to automatically put a little egg first under the 8. Always do that. So that when we do 2 times 6 to get 12, you don't want the 2 to go here. If you put the 2 here, you're going to miss it. It has to go under the second number, which is why we put a 0 here so we don't forget. Put a little egg there. 2 times 6 is 12. Put a 1 here. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. And then the last thing that we do is we just add everything together and we get 828. And that is how you do 2-level multiplication. I'm going to do one more with you, then I'm going to give you a chance to do a couple on your own, okay? So, think of a number out loud. Okay, 4. And think of another one. Okay, 5. Actually, I'm just guessing, but if you actually did say 4 and 5, you're going to probably be really freaked out for just a little bit. I'm going to multiply that times, let's go 31, okay? So, first, start with the 1. 1 times 5, I'm going to go 1 times 5 and then 1 times 4. 1 times 5 is 5, and then 1 times 4 is 4. Remember, there's my little turtle. Now I'm going to go to the 3, but before I do, I'm going to go to the second level. I'm going to put a 0 here. And now I'm going to go, let me get rid of this so it's a little bit easier to see. Now I'm going to go 3 times 5, which is 15. Put a 1 here. That's where the 15 goes. The 5 is going to go here. The 1 is going to go above the next number. Okay? And then 3 times 4 is 12. And then don't forget to add that 1 to get 13. So I'm going to put the 13 there. I'm going to add everything to get a 5. 5 plus 4, 3 plus nothing, 1 plus nothing. Now I'm going to check it. Just don't even worry about this if this is going to confuse you. Just make sure my math is pretty good. Yeah, my math is close enough. I think I did it right. So 1,395 is the answer. So I'm going to do, I said I was going to do 2 more. I'm going to do 1 more. So here's what I want you to do. Try this on your own, whether with a paper or pencil, or a board, marker, and eraser, okay? You know what? Let's go 1. I'm going to go 1 more number. Okay? I'm going to make this a 3. So, pause the video. Try this on your own. And let's see how you do. And then whenever you're done, you can unpause it. And then we'll see if we get the same thing, okay? Okay, hopefully you've already spent some time doing this. I'm going to use 2 different colors for the 2 different levels. For the first one, I'm going to go red. First level. 8 times 6, hopefully you did 48 and you remembered to put the 4 up here. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 4 is 44. And since I got 44, remember, this 4 is going to go at the bottom. This 4 right here is going to go right here at the top. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Now, I do 8 times 1. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 is 12. So I'm going to get that right there. Now, for the second level, let me go green, okay? Reminds me of Christmas. I'm going to go, let me get rid of these so I don't add them and get confused. Now I'm going to go 3 times 6, 3 times 5, 3 times 1, okay? So, 3 times 6 is 18. Let's go and put a 0 here, in case you forget. Don't do that. You don't remember. You do not put an 8 here. 3 times 6 is 18. But if you put the 8 there, you're going to miss it. You're going to put it over 1. So put a 0 there so you don't forget. I'm going to put a 1 here for 18, and then I'll do 3 times 5, which is 15, plus 1 is 16. And that's 16. There's a 6, and here's the 1. And then I do 3 times 1, which is 3, plus 1 is 4. Now, let me make sure I lined up my numbers correctly, because that's easy to miss. Good, good. Okay, so now I'm just going to add, okay? So 8 plus nothing, 8 plus 4 is 12, put a 1 here. 6 plus 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9, and 4 plus 1 is 5. My answer is 5,928. So now I'm actually going to get to multiplying with decimals, and I'm going to keep this on the screen, okay? Since we just did it. It's going to make it a little bit easier. Let me go... purple. Okay? So, yeah, purple works. So, now I'm going to change this. Now, what I'm going to do, let me make this 1.56, let me make it 3.8. So, what I'm doing is I'm now taking 1.56 times 3.8. So, let me talk a little bit about multiplying decimals. Here's the good news. If you can multiply numbers without... I wish I could do that. If you can multiply numbers without decimals, you can multiply numbers with decimals. Okay? The hard part is actually doing the multiplication. And guess what? We've already done that right here, which is why I'm using these same numbers. Now, here's the trick if there are decimals. Here's all you have to do. First, let me go get my notes to make sure I'm going to tell you this based on what the notes say. So, I give this to you in 4 steps. Okay? I give this to you in 4 steps. Step number 1. So now we're going to go to multiplication of decimals. Now we're talking about multiplying decimals. So if you're fast forwarding it, you can stop here if you're looking for this section of the video. Multiplication of decimals. So step 1, ignore. You're going to ignore the decimals. Don't even worry about the decimals, okay? Pretend like they're not even there. And after you ignore them, don't even pretend like they're not there, and then just multiply. And you can combine those two into one step if you want. You can just ignore and multiply. So let's look at what we have right here. After you ignore the decimals and you multiply, that's what you're going to get, 5,928. That's the multiplication part that I'm talking about. I haven't even looked at the decimals yet. Now, step 3. After you have your answer, and this is the answer that I'm talking about right here, 5,928. After you have your answer, you're going to count how many digits there are in the problem after the decimals. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to visualize so that you can understand what I'm talking about, okay? So let's go to our problem. So this is our problem right here, 1.56 times 3.8. Let me go over here as well so it's less messy. So here's our problem. We know the answer is going to be, it's going to have these numbers in it, a 5, a 9, a 2, and an 8. Our answer is going to have a 5, a 9, a 2, and an 8. Now we're going to go back to the problem. We're going to count how many digits are after the decimals. And what I mean by that is, this is after the decimal. That's 1, that's 2, and that's another one. So that's 3 altogether. There are 1, 2, 3 numbers after. This is the key word, this place. After. 3 numbers, not before, but after. And so what that means is, in our answer down here, there's going to be 3 numbers after the decimal. So, if I put the decimal right here, are there 3 numbers after it? Well, let me see. Nope. There's just 1 digit. 1 digit, 1 number. Well, that's not what I want. What if I put the decimal here? Is that fine? No, because now there's 2 numbers. So the way that we do it, we just go, after we get our answer, count at the end, 1, 2, 3, boom, I'm done. 3 numbers after the decimal in my answer, just like in the problem, when I take both numbers into consideration. And that's how you multiply with decimals, okay? So let me now write the steps down here, because I kind of combined it. You're going to count and then you're going to put. So you're going to count the digits after the decimals in the problem, and then you're going to put the decimal in the answer where it's supposed to go. So let's look at that one more time, and then I'll be done with the video. And you can go back and watch this as many times as you want, or if it wasn't that helpful, I will give you a link to another video or more that will explain the same thing, but hopefully in a more clear fashion. So let's try 4.7 times 3. Now, I'm throwing a curveball here, and I probably shouldn't, because some of you will automatically want to do this. And that's only when you're adding or subtracting decimals. When you're multiplying or dividing, when you're multiplying decimals, don't convert the whole number into a decimal. You don't have to do that. I mean, you can, but it's just an extra step that you don't have to do. So I can actually fly through this real quick and show you what I mean. So actually, I'm going to do that second. Probably going to do that second. Let me leave that up here so I can show you what I mean. Like, if you do that, you're not going to miss it if you do that, but it's just you're doing more work than you need to do. So 4.7 times 3. So just step one, ignore the decimals. We're going to do this just like it's 47 times 3, okay? But it's 4.7. So 7 times 3 is 21. Put a 2 here. 4 times 3 is 12 plus 2 is 14. So step 1, I ignore the decimals. Step 2, I multiplied. Okay, I'm doing multiplying. I have my answer. Now step 3 is where I'm going to count. So in this problem, let me go red. In this problem right here, we don't need that anymore. In that problem, all together, top and bottom numbers, how many digits come after the decimal? Well, just one. This one right here, which means my answer is only going to have one number after the decimal, so my decimal is going to go right there, 14.1. Now let's say you accidentally thought you were supposed to make the whole number into a decimal, and you did it, and you multiply. Well, if you multiply right, it's not going to matter. 0 times 7 is 0. 0 times 4 is 0. Put a 0 down here. 3 times 7, you're going to get 1, 2, 14. And then when you add 0, 1, 4, 1. Now watch this. In this new problem, you see how there's 1. Let me get rid of this. See how there's 2 numbers after the decimal? 1, 2, and then my decimal. It's going to go right here. And 14.1 is the same thing as 14.10. You don't even need that 0 at the end. Okay? Same thing. But I hope that you don't convert the decimal to a whole number. I'm sorry, I hope you don't convert the whole number to a decimal, because that is an extra step that you don't have to do. Hope that video is helpful. Go back and watch it as many times as you need until this stuff becomes more familiar to you. And have a good day. Thanks a lot.